Hello chaps, this is my new video for the Sightmark wraith, which I've got reasonably recently. I've had quite a few goes out on site with it now. As you can see, I've got it sitting on my CZ455 beast of a gun, which I absolutely love. The two units together are quite heavy, I'm not going to lie. The gun is pretty heavy anyway because it's got the thicker barrel. But overall, because most of my hunting is done in an ambush situation, for me it's not too bad. Obviously I've got the nice sling, it's just a standard BSA sling, with which I can use to carry everything I need to where I'm going, and then effectively I sort of set myself up either in a hide or I'll dig myself in a bush somewhere. But so far I am really liking this. I saw on a video, I'm sorry I can't remember the guy's name, but he got a coaster that he put on this by actually cutting a section out of the long reach back bracket. I didn't want to cut it, but then I remembered these are large cable ties. You're not normally used to putting large cables onto a cable tray, but basically it does the same job, but I don't have to cut anything out, which is nice. So far, I'm incredibly impressed with this little unit. It wasn't too expensive, about 600 quid. So for a night vision, it's sort of up there, but not around the price of most of the low end stuff. It has been so far so good. I did, unfortunately, after I'd set it all up, while I was working on it on the coffee table, I left the barrel sticking out, and my good lady walked past and knocked the gun onto the floor. And I didn't notice at the time, but it had actually made it so the scope could kind of wobble in the holder. But because the unit comes with, I don't know if you could be able to see, the back of this bracket effectively is a kind of a V shape. So when the scope drops down into it, it allows it to sit in position, and then you have two screws underneath that go up that way into the unit to keep it stable. So even though it was loose in the bracket, I was still getting really accurate shots. So my intention today is to go back up to my permission, and effectively, because I've had to put the scope back on, I'm going to try and use, get it all sighted in, and then try and use Strelok Pro, the trajectory validation, so that I can see if I can match my bullet drop with Strelok, basically. So I've had some success with it in the past using air rifles, but this is the first time I'm going to try and do it with the 2.2. Hopefully after that point I can then do a bit of rabbiting, and we'll get some footage from that as well. I'm hoping to show you guys, or you should be able to see later on in this video, I'm going to stick a target out, do some shooting, use the one-shot zero, which I must confess I've not been able to use in one shot before. It takes 2 or 3 good goes before you get it right, but it's still very effective. And then what I'll do is hopefully I'll be able to record some of that footage so you can see the target. I'll give you an overview, so I'll stand back with the camera just to record the actual distance, so that you get a mixture of what I'm looking at through my eyes and what I'm seeing through the scope, to try and help you decide if it's the one for you. But so far, I must say, I'm really impressed with it. It's done everything that I need it to do. The slight reservation is that the torch that comes with it's okay, but it's not really good enough. You can see out to 100 yards with it easy enough, but the picture quality is very grainy. So I've brought myself a new T50, which I believe, again, you'll see later in the video. So just remember, the night vision part of this video will be done with that. So basically, there's my target there, and that is how far away it is. That's exactly 50 meters, and you can see this is how I'm seeing it, and then obviously you'll cut the scope footage in for you in a second. Cheers. So basically this is 50 meters from where I'm shooting, and effectively I've already done the one-shot zeroing at this point. Unfortunately you can't show it on the scope footage, because when you use it you have to stop recording. But basically this is me pretty much scoped in, and just to give you an idea of the zoom and what it looks like. So I tend to shoot anything up to 50 on ×4, and then 50 to 70 I'll probably jump up to ×8, but I never go above 8 when I'm hunting because I just don't need to. As you can probably see on the video, because I'm sort of sat on the edge of a hill effectively, the wind is blowing from the right to the left. It was pushing the bullets a little bit, but not too much. One of the most important things I think about shooting is knowing your surrounding. Spending a bit of time somewhere in the daytime can really help. You can see, I'm hoping you can see, it's difficult for me to see in the sun, but there is some horses just up there, and basically at night time this is still the same permission I use, so I'm always thinking about where is the best backstop, where can I make sure that the horses aren't going to be in my line of fire. So currently my place of shooting is only over there and only up to about 50 metres, so I know that I've got something behind the rabbit when the bullet goes through. It's always safety first, guys. During the lull, so during the lull in activity, this is basically where I'm shooting from inside the hide, just so you get an idea what the property looks like while I'm using the wraith. Like I say, most of the bunnies I'm getting are kind of in the middle of the grass, about there, which is on that line, which is about 45 metres away, maybe a little bit closer. I'm settled into my nice little position for evening shoot. I've got a nice backstop all the way around, and I hope to get you some footage. Just scored 2 bunny hits there. I'm currently lying on the grass on my mat. I've basically got the one that you can see on the footage in a second is basically up there in the woods. And I just scored another one over here on the grass. Seems like a pretty good spot. I'm enjoying this one. So this is what I've been doing, basically lying on my shooting mat, shooting up this way. I'm just going to go and pick these rabbits up, and then I think I'm going to use the last of the daylight to try and run a ballistics test where I can shoot into this corner, knowing that there's a good safe backstop of a muddy hill all the way behind. So these two I don't think I got on video, but the one over there I certainly did. So you should be able to see at least one of these through the scope cam footage. maybe half hour ago. That I shot actually up into the woods. Let's have a little look see. But basically the rabbit was in there, so I'll show you back to where I was shooting from, which is just there. Okay, so I'm going to use the last little bit of the light to do some ballistics calculations. So basically that's what I'm shooting at there, 50 yards away. I'll make sure I'm zeroed on roughly, and then we'll move back to 80 yards and fire at the top circle and see where the bullets land. Right then guys, so basically I've been here. That's where I was shooting when you saw me shoot the bunnies, over by my bucket. And what I've done is I've now moved back so that I'm effectively 80 yards away from the target, which is just about seeable in the middle of the screen. And what I shall now do, go up to the target and we'll have a look at the bullet drop. Okay, so I'm back at the 60 metre mark from where I was. Now you can see that the target was actually ever so slightly uphill, so I was aiming up. I'm not clever enough to take that into accommodation, so we'll just do this and see how we get on with the ballistics app. So effectively, measuring down using my ruler, I'll just take this off of the target holder. So measuring down using the ruler, centre of the, where are we, there we are. So we're at the centre of the target there, 0 centimetres. I would say about 10 centimetres is the average in the middle. Now that is strange to me, because the other day I was getting a better group and the group was averaging more around 8, which is where one of my bullets is at 8. The rest seems to have gone low and left, which is probably due to the fact there is a slight breeze today. Again though, I would say that 80 is too far for me to be shooting at rabbits, because the group's just not tight enough. That's bigger than a rabbit's head, if you can imagine. And I don't want to hurt anything, I just want to end them humanely. So again, I'm going to stick to shooting at 70, but it means I can use this figure for the ballistics app. So I would say that's around 10 centimetres. Okay, so using what we already have on Strelok, you're able to basically, you have to input the bullet data, set up the scope height. The better the information you put in, the better you'll get out effectively. Then on this next clip, you'll be able to see that you can basically press this kind of a blue up and down arrow with a yellow line pointing at an angle to a target. That's how you get into the trajectory. And then effectively you set the distance at the top to be your far distance, so in this case 80 meters. Then you choose the distance down, so in my case I've used centimeters, although I believe it will let you use mils or mrads. Press calculate, and then effectively when you then go back to your scope view, every distance that you type in on your scope view will show you where the app actually expects the bullet to go, and you can see from this final bit of footage actually it's pretty close to what Strelok's telling me. So, time for tea.